In a scrapyard in a small Midwest town, a massive fire truck sat motionless. Its red paint had peeled away, the steel frame scarred with gray burn marks. People whispered that the truck was tied to a mysterious fire that claimed the lives of an entire firefighting crew. For years, it stood as a symbol of failure and shame. But Sam, a stubborn young mechanic, returned it to her shop. She had no idea that inside that rusted steel shell lay a secret powerful enough to shake the whole town. Sam hauled the massive truck into her old garage on the edge of town. The metal door screeched as it closed, trapping the space with the smell of rust and old smoke. "You're out of your mind, Sam," said Mike, her friend, shaking his head. He often dropped by to help with heavy lifting. "That truck buried an entire fire crew. People avoid it like the plague. Why bring it here?" Sam smirked, wiping grease from her hands. "Because nobody else dares touch it, and I want to know what's inside." Mike sighed and headed for the door. Before leaving, he turned back. "Listen, some things aren't meant to be dug up." "Especially not in this town," Sam didn't answer. She grabbed a hammer and slammed it against a jammed steel frame. The clang echoed across the garage. She wanted to wake this sleeping giant, to make it live again. For days, Sam worked on it. She unscrewed every bolt and wiped down every rusted pipe. Each time she opened a part, the smell of old smoke rose, clinging to her skin. This wasn't like any machine she had ever fixed. It felt as if it still carried the breath of that fire. While dismantling the water pump one afternoon, her hammer struck something solid. The sound, sharp and different, rang through the air. She leaned down, flashlight in hand. Deep inside the compartment, something was wedged tight. She reached in and pulled hard. After a struggle, a small metal box fell out, heavy in her hands. Its surface was scorched, its corners blackened by flame. On the lid, faint words still showed, "Do not open." Sam frowned. This box didn't belong to the machine. Someone had hidden it here. She placed it on the workbench, eyes fixed on it. Her heartbeat quickened. Every warning, every rumor about the truck came rushing back. Mike returned just then. When he saw the box, his face went pale. "God, Sam, you're not thinking of opening that, are you?" Sam wiped her hands on a rag, breathing hard. Without a word, she grabbed a screwdriver and forced open the latch. The lid sprang up. A wave of acrid smoke rose out. Inside were charred papers, edges crumbling like ash. But between the burns, the writing remained. Sam sat frozen, heart pounding. What she held wasn't scrap metal. It was a secret this town had buried for years. Sam spread the burned papers across the table. Each page was smeared with smoke, but many words were still intact. She opened the first sheet. Bold letters leapt at her. Incident report. Steelworks Factory, Fire Steelworks. An old steel plant on the outskirts. Sam knew that place. She remembered riding past it as a child with her firefighter father. He had said, "Places like that are always dangerous, but if someone's trapped inside, we go in." She flipped to the next page. The notes were clear. Industrial gasoline odor across the scene. Not stored in factory inventory. Fire ignited from multiple points simultaneously. Sam's chest tightened. This wasn't an accident. Someone had set it up. The next page chilled her. A photo, edges burned but still visible. The steel frame collapsing, firefighters trapped inside. Next to it, a rushed, handwritten note. They were trapped. No way out, Sam bit her lip, her hands trembling. She recalled the rumor that had lived for years. The crew that day was careless and reckless and brought death upon themselves. Many in town called them failures. Their families had lived with shame ever since. But the file told a different story. Another page read, "Captain Miller sacrificed himself while attempting to break the exit door. Team lost radio contact shortly after Captain Miller." Sam knew that name. Her father had spoken of him as a hero, a skilled leader. Yet for years, he had been branded careless. Sam slammed her fist on the table. God, they framed him. She turned to the final section, a list of firefighters' names, each marked deceased. At the bottom was a signature of confirmation. Sam squinted. The signature was familiar, the current mayor of the town. Her throat tightened. Why would the mayor's name be here? Why would he sign this report? The room was silent, save for the pounding of her heart. She realized she had touched something someone had buried deep for decades. Sam whispered, "Dad, if you were here, you'd want me to keep going, wouldn't you?" Outside, the wind howled through the empty street. Sam stuffed the file into a canvas bag, her mind racing. One thing was sure. This wasn't just a secret. It was a bomb waiting to explode. Sam drove her old pickup into the suburban neighborhood. The first house she visited belonged to the Miller family. The Miller nameplate had faded. The wooden door was weathered. A woman in her 60s opened the door. Her eyes were rimmed with dark circles. Her hair was thin and gray. "Mrs. Miller?" Sam asked. The woman nodded. The living room was small. The walls were covered in photos. A large framed picture showed Captain Miller in his firefighting uniform, next to a tarnished medal. On the table sat a half-burned candle. "They said my husband killed the whole crew," Mrs. Miller said in a trembling voice. "For years I had to hear that. My son grew up under looks of scorn. He left town and never came back." Sam set the charred file on the table. She pointed to the line, "Sacrificed while trying to force the exit door." Mrs. Miller put on her glasses and read. Tears fell onto the paper. "No. He would never run. He fought until the end." Sam squeezed the woman's hand. "Ma'am, my father served with him. He always said Captain Miller was the bravest leader on the crew." Mrs. Miller broke down and covered her face. The small room filled with sobs. Sam left with a heavy heart. She went to the second house. An elderly mother sat on the porch holding an American flag folded in a triangular display case. The woman sighed when Sam mentioned her son's name. They called him a failure. "I didn't have the strength to argue. I keep this flag to remember that he once was a firefighter." Sam opened her notebook and wrote down every word the woman said. She knew she was carrying the pain of a whole generation. A middle-aged woman pointed to two children in a photo at the third house. They grew up not daring to be proud of their dad. They think he's disgraced. "Sam, do you know what that feels like?" Sam bit her lip, her voice thick. "I know. I'm also the daughter of a firefighter. I won't let their honor be buried any longer." As the sun dropped low, Sam drove away from the neighborhood. The charred file lay mixed with her fresh notes on the passenger seat. She remembered every look, every word. It wasn't just pain. It was a cry for help. In her rearview mirror, the half-burned candle in Mrs. Miller's house still glowed. From this moment on, Sam knew that she wasn't searching for the truth. She was just searching for herself. She was fighting for all of them. The next morning, Sam stepped out to her pickup and froze. Both front tires had been slashed. The rubber lay flat on the pavement. Someone had done it overnight. Back in the garage, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number appeared. Stop digging or you'll regret it. She gripped the phone, sweat beading on her forehead. No name, no number, just a cold threat. While she tidied the workbench, Sam found a scrap of paper slipped under the door. Only a faint logo was printed on it. Midwest Development Corporation. The region's largest real estate company and the firm that bought the steelworks property after the fire. Sam inhaled sharply. The pieces began to fit together. Someone profited from the tragedy. And now, those people wanted her quiet. She thought of calling the police, but immediately pushed the idea aside. The old fire was investigated and closed as an accident. Her father used to say, "When the powers that be want something buried, the truth dies with the file." That afternoon, returning to the garage, Sam noticed a black SUV parked a few blocks away. Tinted windows, no front plate. When she stared, the vehicle started up and drove off. She told Mike about it. He frowned. "Sam, this isn't a game anymore. If Midwest Corp is behind it, they won't hesitate. You should walk away." Sam shook her head. "If they want me quiet, it means I'm on the right track." At night, Sam reopened the file. She annotated each line, photographing pages with her phone. She knew she didn't have much time. If they'd slash her tires and send anonymous texts, they'd try to take the file sooner or later. Wind hissed through the garage cracks. Sam switched on the lights and scanned the shadows. Darkness pressed at the edges as if someone was watching. She clutched the file tight. Fear pressed down on her, but the fire inside her burned stronger. Sam whispered, "If they want to bury the truth, I'll dig deeper." One night, Sam returned to the garage late. The rolling door had been pried open. She rushed inside. The workbench was empty. The charred file was gone. Sam tore through every drawer, every box, but everything had been ransacked. On the table lay only a small piece of paper, stamped with the Midwest Development Corp. Logo and scrawled words. Last warning. She froze. They had entered the garage in the middle of town and taken everything. Sam collapsed onto the floor, her hands clutching her head. Faces of the families she had met flashed before her eyes. Mrs. Miller's tears, the folded flag in its glass case, the half-burned candle. All the hope they had placed in her had turned to ash. "Dad, I'm sorry," Sam whispered. Her father had always believed justice would prevail, but now she felt as if she had betrayed him. Her phone buzzed. A new message lit the screen. "Walk away, Sam. Or next time, it won't just be papers." Her hands trembled as she dropped the phone. Her throat tightened. She thought of calling Mike, but stopped. If he knew, he would only tell her to quit. Maybe he was scared too. In this town, anyone could be bought or threatened. Sam sank to the cold concrete floor. The acrid smell of forced entry still hung in the air. It clung to her clothes and hair, suffocating her like the weight of failure pressing down on her chest. In that moment, Sam felt utterly alone. No police, no friends, no more evidence. All that was left was fear and one bitter truth: the powerful always win. Tears welled up as Sam buried her face in her hands. For the first time, the fire inside her went out. Sam sat in silence in the dark garage. Her hands still shook. The file was gone, and the threats were relentless. She had lost everything. A knock echoed, soft yet sharp against the night. Sam jolted, gripping a wrench. "Who's there?" The door creaked open. An older man stepped inside. His gait was uneven, his hair white as snow. Scars of old burns ran up his arm. His eyes were tired, sunken, but still held a spark. "Sam?" His voice was hoarse. "I'm Jack Turner." I served with your father, Sam's breath caught. Her father had spoken that name before, one of the firefighters from that fire. But everyone said they were all dead. You were there? Sam stammered. Jack nodded slowly. From his coat, he pulled out a bundle wrapped in worn plastic. He laid it on the table in front of her. This is the original report. I've kept it all these years. Sam's hands shook as she opened it. The pages were far more intact than the set she had found. Signatures, stamps, photos from the scene, everything clear, undeniable. But why did you stay silent? Jack exhaled heavily. They knew I survived. They came to my house. They threatened my wife and my children. Said if I spoke, my family would pay. I chose silence. And I've carried that guilt for 30 years, Sam's voice cracked. So why now? Jack's eyes glistened. Because I saw you digging into that truck. You remind me of your father, never giving up. I knew the time had come. I couldn't let you stand alone. Sam clutched the file tight. Tears streamed down, but this time they were tears of hope. Jack continued, Sam, they won't sit quietly. If you make this public, the whole town will erupt. But it's what must be done. Those men deserve to be cleared. Sam looked at him. She saw a flame that had refused to die in those weary eyes. And now, that flame had passed to her. She drew a deep breath. We'll do this. For my dad. For Captain Miller. For all of them, Sam and Jack Turner brought the file to City Hall the next day. They photocopied every page and sent it to the local paper and a regional TV station. The news spread quickly. At first, many didn't believe it. They thought it was just a made-up story. But when the reports appeared on TV screens with official seals and the mayor's signature, no one could deny it. A group gathered in front of the City Hall. Then the group grew larger. They carried photos of the fallen firefighters, holding signs. They were heroes, not failures. The mayor fought back. He called them liars, a political ploy. But then a reporter revealed evidence. Midwest Development Corporation had purchased the factory land just weeks after the fire, at an unbelievably low price. Everything fit together. The crowd erupted in outrage. Sam stood in the crowd, gripping Jack's hand tightly. She saw the wives and the elderly mothers she had visited standing there too. One woman held a photo of her husband, tears streaming down her face. But this time, they were tears of release. The police had no choice but to step in. The mayor was led away to shouts of protest. He kept denying, but the truth could no longer be hidden. In the weeks that followed, the town began to change. Not everyone admitted it right away. Some still shook their heads, and whispers lingered. But day by day, more people started leaving flowers at the old firehouse. Small candles appeared along the street, their light flickering in the night. A month later, the new administration decided to restore the fire truck. Workers sprayed it with bright red paint, replaced the windows, and fitted new tires. But they deliberately left one blackened burn mark on its side, as a scar of the past. On dedication day, the whole town gathered at the Central Park. The truck stood proudly beside a newly built memorial wall engraved with the names of every firefighter who had fallen. The American flag waved above. Sam stood in the crowd. Jack Turner placed a hand on her shoulder. Your father would be so proud. As the sun set, the golden light washed over the red paint and the names etched in stone. The crowd fell silent for a few minutes, broken only by the wind rustling through the flag. Sam closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She knew justice never came easily, but at last, truth had prevailed. and those heroes had been given back their honor. Their fire would now burn forever in the memory of this town.